At my husband's funeral, my son Daniel stood at the podium with a trembling voice and thanked another woman. She was the one who was truly family to us, he said. At that moment, all eyes in the room turned to the woman in the front row, the one in the fitted dress and perfect makeup with delicate tears resting in her eyes, and me, the real wife, the mother. I sat off to the side, unnoticed, invisible. When the lawyer later informed me that my husband had left everything to her, not a single dime for me, Linda. Mallister embraced my son and smiled a triumphant smile as if she had already won. But then I pulled out the second wheel, and just like that, there was no one in the room smiling anymore. I never imagined my life would begin anew at a funeral. Robert died in a sudden car accident. He was driving downtown that morning in a heavy rain. They said the brakes failed on a curve and the car crashed into a supermarket. He was gone quick. The doctor said he didn't suffer, but I wasn't sure he deserved such a clean departure. We had been married for 40 years. I used to think our marriage, while not romantic, was at least solid, like one of those old houses weathered by storms, worn on the outside, but still standing. I gave up my career to tend to every corner of our home. He always said, "I can take care of you. You don't need to work." And I believed him. I naively thought it was some kind of love. At the memorial, I wore his favorite charcoal gray wool coat and stood by the chapel entrance. Greeting guests? The wind whipped. My fingers were numb. Still, I smiled, doing my best to make sure his farewell was dignified and orderly. Robert cared so much about appearances, about what other people thought of him. Even in his death, I found myself maintaining that neat facade for him. Daniel was at the podium. He's our only child. He turns 33 this year and is a back-end engineer for a tech company. He wore a sharp dark suit. His face was solemn and his voice was as steady as always. After reading a tribute to his father, he paused and his eyes reened. "There's someone I want to give a special thank you to," Daniel said, his voice a little shaky. The room fell silent. I clutched my handbag in my lap, my knuckles turning white. I thought he was about to say, "My mother." In that moment, I could almost hear it forming in his throat, that long-awaited acknowledgement. 40 years of companionship, dedication to the home, nights spent at the hospital, all the quiet sacrifices. I truly believed he had finally seen me. But what came next sliced through me like a dull blade, stripping that hope away inch by inch. Someone who supported my father through the toughest time of his life. Miss Linda Mallister. A soft murmur went down the aisle. From the front row, a woman stood up and dabbed her eyes, nodding politely. She wore a deep emerald green wool coat, black heels, flawless makeup, and perfectly coiffed hair. As she sat down, those around her turned to look curious and surprised. I felt sound explode in my ears like a detonated silence. Linda Mallister. I knew the name. She was Robert's administrative assistant at the firm. He later promoted her to a consulting partner, even briefly including her on the board. When I'd ask about her, he'd always downplay it. "She's competent, don't be paranoid." I remembered that year's company party. She brought me wine, smiling sweetly, moving with the ease of a woman who fit in. I dismissed her at the time as just another sycophantic employee. Looking back now, how ironic. From across the room, someone whispered, "She's sitting so close like she's family." And my son? My son had just thanked that woman at his father's funeral. I felt like the chair had dropped from under me. My ears were ringing and the world vibrated faintly. People came up to shake my hand, murmuring the usual. He was a good man. We'll miss him. I nodded automatically, like a machine repeating pre-programmed responses. I had planned to hold on until the end to maintain appearances. But then I heard Daniel whisper to Linda, You're the one who's truly family." I nearly dropped the teacup in my hand. In that moment, I realized this funeral wasn't for Robert. It was for a hidden world I didn't know existed, and I was just a stranger, a discarded observer. That night, back home, I sat in the empty living room. As I took off the coat, I saw that the satin ribbon was wrinkled, as if the last vestige of my marriage's dignity had been accidentally a dead.